Welcome to the Soulful Badass podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Jackson, an intuitive success coach from the UK, and I'm here to help entrepreneurs, leaders, and soul-aligned goddesses to create epic levels of success and impact in your life and your business. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you are tuning in every week for mindset talk, manifestation, magic, and incredible interviews with other soul-aligned entrepreneurs. So hit the subscribe button, and I'd love to invite you to come and join the Soulful Badass community. All the links are in the show notes. Please go and click them, and I'll see you in there. Hi everyone. Today on the podcast, I want to talk to you about a personal story that I go through and how that's actually impacted me to condition myself for more success. Because what we tend to do is we're conditioned from a young age and we have different voices in our heads, and there can be sometimes quite negative voices that don't help us feel successful most of the time. So I suffer from a condition called endometriosis, and this has been really since I was about 14. My periods have been really heavy. I've really struggled with my menstrual cycle from a young age. And over the last few years, recently, talking the last 10 years, I've struggled with endometriosis to the point where some cycles I have passed out, dropped on the floor, ended up with a black eye, ended up in hospital. During COVID, at the beginning of COVID, I was passing out regular during my period, getting sent to hospital. And this has been a condition that's kind of just been something that I've ended up having to work with. I've had a couple of operations, but ultimately how it manifests is I have really, really heavy periods every single month. I have cramps that are really debilitating every single month. And this is something that I've come to get used to. And it means losing a lot of blood and feeling quite tired. And also you've got the other side of it. It's not a very attractive disease. So it is something that I've had to really come to terms with, but something I've had to understand from a point of view of my body has real strong cycles. And as an A-type person, I have been trained to be on the go, making stuff happen, getting shit done, and really being productive for my whole entire life. And when I'm stressed, my endometriosis gets worse. So I lose more blood, I clot more, the cramps are worse, and things get really quite bad. So what I've really had to do is, one, acknowledge my body works in cycles. And every woman has this. Whether you have a normal period, whether you are in pre-menopause, whether you are post-menopause, whether you are bang in the middle of menopause, your body works on cycles. And also we're regulated by the moon. So the moon has a huge effect on us too. And what our body actually wants to do is have 2 weeks of peak working out, real energy, real creativity, real movement, real getting shit done energy, and then 2 weeks of resting, recouping, recharging, and really getting to know and being okay with us. In this modern world, we are constantly on. We are constantly chasing the next buzz, the next thing, the next bit of excitement, the next money, the next client, the next follower, whatever it is. We're always chasing that next thing. And we feel that we've got to constantly be on in order to make things happen. If we take some time off, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you are taking time off, you are not making money. How many times do we hear that? I can't have any time off. I don't make money. I don't earn money when I'm off. Well, this is where you've got to start to get, one, your conditioned mind working for you, and two, your business working for you. And acknowledge the fact that as an entrepreneur and as a female entrepreneur, you are not going to want to be on all of the time. And if you are, you're going to end up burnt out and really run down. So I'm using my endometriosis. Mine has forced me to understand my cycles. It has forced me to understand that resting is okay. And yes, I just said that. Resting is okay. And when I rest, I can still make money. It does not mean my business had to stop. It does not mean I'm a failure. Now, there's a couple of ways to start to listen to your body and listen to these cycles. One, you can start tracking them. So if you've got a journal, you can start tracking either by the moon cycle or by your period cycle. You can start to track how you feel at different periods of the month so that you can see when are your on times versus when are you really wanting to wind down. First off, knowing your cycle is really, really key. I have a week where I'm super energized, get loads and loads of stuff done. I wrote my book in a couple of days, like I was on it. It's like something takes over me. I'm super focused, super strategized, like I'm on it. Then once my period hits, I'm out of it, completely out of it. Cramps take over. Sometimes doing a video takes over and I really struggle. So you might have noticed some weeks I'm on it. I'm doing videos every single day for my social media. Other weeks I'm a bit quieter. And that's because this is where my energy isn't at its heightest. And as well, because I'm in that period phase, I want to hide away. The thought of being on a camera isn't filling me with the same excitement as it is when I'm on those weeks. So starting to understand that has been really key for me, because what happened at first when this started to kick in, so I started my business in 2020, and 2020 was when the height of my endometriosis and fibroids really took over. So I was at that point having stints in hospital where I was passing out due to blood. I had ambulance drivers trying to get me out the house, but couldn't sit me up in a chair because I was passing out every time I sat up. So this energy took over, and I had to really get to grips with the fact that I couldn't be on all the time. Even though I was running a business and really had that urge to make it work, I really couldn't be on all the time. And I had to start looking after me and looking after my body as well. Now, during 2020, you probably didn't notice this happening, because what I started to do I was really regular and I was getting stuff done. But I was also pushing myself to do that. And there was a level of, if I don't do it, I'm not going to succeed. So what I've allowed my mind to do over the years is really start to understand what thoughts were creeping in for me when I was resting. How nasty was my mind getting? And how detrimental was that to me? So when I'm needing rest, because I do need rest, my iron levels dip. I sometimes have to get a lot of blood tests to see that, make sure everything's okay. And that's because I lose so much blood. And we're talking about, people talk about their periods, and I wear every single month when I'm having a period, I wear the kind of pads that they give women after they've had a baby. Like, that is the seriousness of how much I clot and how much I bleed. And my friend's a midwife and she's like, oh my God, Rachel, like, we give them out to people just after they've literally give birth. And I'm like, yeah, it's just a general every month thing. So it's something I've become to get used to. But as well, what I've also done is really start to train my mind. So when my mind's been nasty to me, I start to understand what's happening. Sometimes you could be delaying things or not putting things out or not doing work, and it can be because of procrastination. But it can also be because your body needs rest or your body wants to go into hermit mode. And knowing the difference between the two is super key. So if your body needs rest and you need to go into hermit mode and you need to recharge and refocus and take a step back, your mind will start to tell you you're not doing enough. This is where you'll start to get thoughts around, you're not going to be successful, you're not doing enough, you're not showing up enough, you're lazy. These are the type of thoughts that'll be on repeat, potentially in your mind. They definitely are in mine. So that tells me that actually I'm needing rest. It's not procrastination. When I know I'm procrastinating, that's because perfectionism thoughts come in. So at that point, I get things like, I don't know what to name it, or I don't know what price to charge, or I don't know whether this is the right way to do it, or I don't know whether this is the right sales page, or I don't know whether this is right. And it all comes down to this feeling of perfectionism. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be right. Otherwise, people won't buy. So this ends up being more perfectionism, which tells me I am procrastinating. So procrastination is a very different thing. That is not your body necessarily needing rest. That is your ego trying to tell you you're not good enough to do something, which tells me at that point, this is exactly what I should be doing. This is exactly the package I should be putting out, or it's exactly my next step, because my perfectionism has kicked in to go, you're not good enough. Whereas actually I am. And on the other side of that ego leap is an amazing opportunity. So this is how you can start to tell, one, do you need rest, or one, are you hiding from the fact that you should be doing a bit more? So we often give ourselves such a hard time. But once you start to understand that inner critic in you, you can start to see whether it's genuine rest or you're stalling something really big. So once you understand how yours works, you can understand the action you need to take. Now, what we've been taught in society is that you power through everything. You make shit happen. Nothing gets done unless you're going to do it. And that is the by me consciousness. So that is that consciousness that makes you feel like you have to do everything. No one's going to help you, and you need to be the one to make your success happen. Now, that's good, but it also leads to a hell of a lot of work, a hell of a lot of burnout, and it also leads to the fact that you don't leave any room for magic. So you don't leave any room for the universe to support you, God to support you, your angels to support you, whatever it is you call it. You're not leaving space for that support. So being in the by me consciousness trains us to do, which is okay to a point, but remember, your body's cyclic and it needs rest every couple of weeks. So starting to understand your body and honor your rest is super key. But how do we shut down this mind? How do we get control of our mind once it starts to take over? So firstly, if it's down to procrastination, so you're looking at perfectionism, feeling like the thing you're going to do isn't going to go well, that's you holding back because your ego knows you're on the brink of something. So that energy is, at that point, you need to start to soothe your procrastination. You need to start to look at, it's going to be okay. It's okay not being perfect. It's okay being done, but not fully right. I can change it at a later date. So at that point, I would say you do push through. You do work through that energy. You do get the thing out regardless, because that's not your body telling you to shut down. That's your mind telling you you were on the brink and something is going to be good. So please don't do it. So at that point, you know that you do power through. Now, on the other side, where you're getting you're lazy, you should be doing more, you're not doing enough, all of that energy, that is you fighting against your body. That is your mind fighting against your body when your body needs rest. So your body needs you to calm. It needs you to calm its thoughts. It needs you to calm its energy. It needs to take some time. It needs a bit of soothing, a bit of care. And your mind is telling you all of the things that you've been taught over the years to do. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. So this is where you need to start to change that mindset. You start to need to put in a new dialogue. You need to start to allow yourself to rest and change the mantras and the language that you have inside of your head. So what I've done to change this is I've brought new mantras in, and I've also allowed myself to know that I'm successful at all times of the month. I make money all of the time, regardless of whether I'm on my rest weeks or I'm not. I make money by resting. The more I rest, the more I make. That is a mantra that I have literally adopted. The more I rest, the more I make. The more I rest, the more I make. Because my body needs rest. My body needs to recuperate. My body needs to regenerate. And so does yours. Whether you've got something like I have or not, it doesn't matter. Your body is still cyclic. It will need to have rest. So you've got to start to allow yourself to have a new dialogue. Notice the nastiness that comes out in your mind. Notice the dialogue that it says, but change it. It's okay noticing it, but not changing it is a choice that you are making. You're the one in control of that voice. It might have been a habit that you've let it take over, but you are the one in control. So it's time to start taking charge of it, and it's time to start turning it round. Because if you start to allow yourself to work in cycles, what you could do is those weeks when you are on, you could plan to do extra to cover the weeks where you're going to be taking rest. So you could set some posts to go out automatically. You could think of different things. So if you're planning like I do, I wouldn't necessarily do a launch the weeks that I'm going to be on my period, because I'm not going to want to be in front of a camera feeling like that way. So there's all these things that you can plan your business around. When are you going to be most productive versus when are you not? So you can start to take charge of this and own it as the CEO of your whole cyclic business, but run your business in cycles and know that it works for you. So yeah, there's going to be weeks where you just want to take a downtime and you just want to chill, and you maybe want to go and have long baths and you want to read books, and that is fine. So the other weeks where you're on, just think of, well, how can I start to, create some content? How can I start to build my business around those quiet times? Or am I just honest with my audience? Some weeks I am totally on it. You're going to see me here all the time. Other weeks I'm going to be quieter. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of talk in business about consistency. Now, if I know I'm getting consistent emails every single week, one, I'm only going to open them if I'm interested. Two, if it's a newsletter and it's boring, I'm not necessarily going to read it. So consistency isn't always the best strategy. The best strategy is whatever you tell yourself is the strategy that's going to work. Now, if you're telling yourself that the strategy you use doesn't work, then it's not going to work. But if you tell yourself that everything you do is going to work, that everything you do is going to be successful, whether you're on your on weeks or you're on your off weeks, then everything is going to be successful. You're going to see money coming in regular. You're going to be able to make money regular. It doesn't matter whether you are on or off. You make money because you are a vibration for money, not because you are doing something, because money doesn't come from an action. It comes from an energy. It comes from an energetic state. So if you change your inner dialogue and you know that you are confident, you know that you are a CEO that runs a cyclic business and makes a shitload of money doing it, then you make a shitload of money doing it. If you tell yourself that you have these crazy weeks where some weeks you're on, some weeks you're off, and you don't know where your head is, and you don't know whether you're good enough, and you don't know whether you should be doing this, and you don't know whether you're doing it right, you're not going to make the money. So it's all about your inner dialogue, your inner confidence, and knowing how your business works, but more importantly, how you as a woman works and how you as a woman wants to work, not how you've been trained, not how you've been bullied into doing something in your corporate life, not being on constantly. How do you want to work? Do you want to spend a few days a week working? Do you want to have the rest of the time off? Do you want to spend a couple of hours a day working, have the rest of the time off? Plan your business around you. Plan your business around you, your energy, what lights you up. And once you do that and tell yourself that is the way you're going to be successful, that's when you transform everything. So however this plays out for you, whatever your cycles are like, whatever your energy's like, whatever your creativity's like, go with it. But allow your mind to train you that that is the way it's going to work. That is the way to success. Don't let this negative thinking creep in, tell you you're not good enough, tell you you're lazy, tell you you should be doing more. Because as soon as you say that, suddenly the money dries up because you should be doing more to make the money. That is what you were saying. So please stop holding yourself back. Allow yourself to be cyclic in business. Allow yourself to know your cycles and allow yourself to be kinder to yourself using different dialogue. Everything you do will work if you tell yourself. You can literally change your life by being kinder to yourself. And that is what you need to start doing. So please come and join the Telegram group if this has resonated with you. Let me know how it's connected. But make sure you are honouring all parts of you. I would love to say that I have the most amazing period, like, yeah, couple of days a month and I bleed and that's brilliant. But it's not my reality. And it's not my reality that, yes, I've accepted. And I know that that's where my healing comes out, because actually when I'm stressed, when I've got things going on, that is where I feel it the most. So yeah, there's a lot of pent up energy in there. And that's because what I've done as a woman, instead of owning my feelings, instead of creating a life on my terms that I've started to do now, I buried everything. I buried everything deep inside of me. I buried all my pain. I buried all my trauma. I buried everything for years, and it's come out in this. So this is my chance now to really own it, to own who I am, to voice who I am, to do the healing, but to do it on my terms. So allow yourself to do the same. You don't want something to manifest in some form of disease by pushing and doing and just carrying on, because it will happen. I know that that's been the effect of me for years, being that A-type. Let's just push through. Let's just push those emotions down. Let's not feel them. Let's not feel the sadness. Let's not feel the unhappiness. Let's just move to the next thing. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. You've got to start understanding your cycles, understanding your emotions, understanding what makes you you, and being okay with it and knowing that's what makes you successful. Change that dialogue and change your life. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I've got exciting news coming up. So I have, like I mentioned, wrote my book. It is due to be published in October. I will be bringing out dates for when to get your hands on it and how to get your hands on it. But I'm super excited to be sharing that with you. And I can't wait to hear what you think. But I will be out soon with more details and more dates. But follow along, follow all my social media. You will get notified. And if you want to go and get yourself the free meditation, what that will do is pop you on my email list so that you can follow along for updates on the book as well. Now, have the best week and make sure you start being kinder to yourself, because you deserve it and you were born to be successful. Catch you soon. Bye.